You are watching Macro TV, and in this episode, we are still busy with the basic model. It's study unit 2 and chapter 3. This is video number 4 out of 10 that covers the content of chapter 3. It's also the second video that is concerned with the supply of money. So in the previous video, we talked about what exactly we regard as money. You'll recall all the different definitions of money. And now we proceed to talk about the money supply function. Now, typically, you can think about the money supply function as a vertical line. That means that it's completely exogenous and determined by the monetary authorities, in other words, the Reserve Bank, and it can only shift left or right depending on monetary policy steps. But we've also talked in the previous video about the money creation process and the role that banks can play to increase the money supply. In that case, there's a positive relationship between the money supply and interest rates. So there are two possibilities for drawing the money supply function. On the left, we have the simple form in which it's exogenous, determined by the Reserve Bank, and there's a fixed quantity of money in the economy. On the right-hand side, we have the more refined form, where there's a positive upward slope over a certain range of interest rates, and after that, it turns vertical, and there's a fixed relation, or there's a fixed quantity of money available in this economy. Typically, we'll be using the simple form throughout the examples that we use in this course. Now, if you combine the money supply and the money demand, you get a graph that looks like figure 3.8. And on this, you can see equilibrium in the money market, where the two lines intersect, and the equilibrium interest rate is I0. Movements of these curves will lead to a new interest rate. An increase in the money demand that is caused by an increase in incomes will lead to a higher interest rate. And an increase in the money supply will cause the interest rate level to decrease. Now we can do a little example that looks like figure 3.9. In this case, there's an increase in income that causes an increase in the demand for money. So the money demand curve moves to the right. Now what happens is that as people's incomes increase, they have a greater demand for cash. That means that they sell some of the financial instruments that they own in order to get that cash. Now, if there's a supply of financial instruments to sell, that pushes down the price, and we know there's an inverse relationship between the price of a financial instrument and its interest rate. So if the price goes down, the interest rate goes up, and that is exactly what we see on the left vertical axis there. The increase in the demand for money causes an increase in interest rates. Now, that's exactly the story I've been telling with the graph, and you can again read through it here. In conclusion, this video showed how we get to a discussion of money and money supply to a money supply function, and that we'll typically be using this simple form of the money supply function in the models that we use going forward. Also, what happens when the interest rate changes, and the next video will go into a bit more detail about the link between the monetary and the real sectors.